Just tea for today's tea and tarot talk. No toast. It felt mildly inappropriate. This video is going to be very difficult already on its own. It's going to be difficult enough without adding too much into the equation. This is fruit tea. Oh. Isn't that beautiful? What are the right words to say? I don't think there are correct words, as it were. Tarot itself being a really good method for me to find the right words to say. I always feel that when I've got cards laid out in front of me, things just spill out of me because there's obviously a strong connection that Poppy has in my life because of tarot. It felt very fitting that I could, the conversation itself around the concept of depression, creatives, artists, spiritual work is something that most can relate to, regardless of whether you had any kind of understanding of Poppy Palin and who she was. You may have seen on my YouTube channel a couple of years ago now, I did a review of Poppy Palin's deck, the Everyday Enchantment Tarot. And I think something very significant is the fact that Poppy Palin spoke of a concept in finding magic and colour and beauty in the mundane, in the everyday, in the relatable, though she may have struggled herself to find that in her own. This video will be discussing things like depression, quite dark topics, taking your own life. If that's not something that you can listen to right now, if you're not in the headspace for that, please go away from this video. However, I think the main reason why I want to make this video in memory of Poppy is because it was very jarring for me to remember how many areas in our life, things like depression and sadness sits, even if you worked it out too late. I think that was something for me which shocked me the most. One evening, I discover a post from somebody saying, doing a tarot reading in memory of Poppy Palin or something like that, where there were 2 dates on a picture of her. And I'm thinking, it's an odd thing to say about someone who is still very much around. And then it hit. I think ultimately I want to make this video for people who perhaps resonate with Poppy's way of thinking in terms of her self-worth, skill and talent and creative arts. And prior to discovering, I had only just turned to my partner on my left. We were in bed and I had said something along the lines of, I'm so jealous of artists, of creatives who can draw and create something beautiful and put it out there and sell it and be proud of it, know it's hanging on people's walls. It must feel so good. Only to discover someone who I would consider someone who brought me so much buzz when this arrived in my hands. She followed me on social media shortly afterwards, and it was so nice to have some recognition from someone that you think is a rock star. But she could hear my words because I wanted to show her how much I appreciated the work she did. And I think when you're in that space, you presume that they feel it too. They also agree with you. And they also think they're great, and they also think what they're creating is amazing. But that's not always the case. It really hurt me to hear, and it's not about me, I know it's not about me, but it did hurt to hear in a video that she posted on her YouTube channel before she died, that she didn't feel like she was good enough. She was creating enough content, quality content, and that she felt she had done everything she needed to do. Her job was over, her work was finished. With talent like Poppy Palin, she's a spiritual artist, so she does a lot of like animals and whimsical stuff and multicolored, bright, vivid, gorgeous pieces. Like talent like that, which someone like me who doesn't have, will look at with complete awe in the possibilities that person faces every day of creating something new. She didn't felt like she had the recognition that she deserved. And I think there was another part of me that really resonated. Creatives' deep desire to be noticed and loved. Creatives feel so intensely. We feel so much harder than most others. We care and we internalize all of these emotions so much so, and art is often a lot of our outlets. We need to create, we need to produce, we need to put something out there that's bigger than ourselves to feel a sense of release. We attach a lot of our self-worth and happiness and dignity into the content we're producing, the art that we're making, the stuff that we're putting out there for the world to see, and its response to that is massively going to determine how a lot of us see ourselves and a lot of us go about our day, and there's a lot of danger in that. And though she had other things going on in her life, she mentioned that she had lost a lot of people in her life and they'd left her behind and she had nobody. I mean, that's a whole nother topic I also want to get into in this video, but the very fact that art was her everything, art is her everything, carrying so much worth and having so much like passion into something to the point where it can really heavily determine your emotions and the way you carry yourself and your perspective on the world. I think it's very easy to be positive about your aspects in terms of family, relationships, finance, when your career is being boosted and you're being recognized in spaces such as your like own business. I kind of wanted to make this video for Poppy in honoring what she asked for when she died, of not remembering Poppy for the essence of what Poppy was, but remembering Poppy for what she created and what she brought out into the world through her artistic abilities and talents. That itself also is a little bit of a reminder for everybody to go out of their way from time to time to remember to show your gratitude and your appreciation to those that create. It's sad because immediately I felt regret that I didn't maybe do enough or show enough or like appreciate enough. You know, this isn't about me thinking that I could have changed the course of what was happening. It seemed she was struggling for a long time, and this was something that she had thought about doing for a long time. And that is something that's deeply ingrained in someone. And that's not necessarily something that someone like me, who she doesn't know on a personal level at all, can help with. But who knows? All it takes is sometimes a little loving touch, a little act of service. When you're in a place like Poppy is, online support, a little like positive message isn't enough to pull you out of something that you battle with and fight with every day. You need physical help. You need actual like physical acts of care and service, and something which is going to make the burden lighter. And you need to kind of feel that support and see it right in front of you and hold it and touch it and feel it. And she didn't have anyone immediately anymore because everyone close to her had passed away. Those were the people that were keeping her going. Those are the people that were showing up when she needed it. I wonder if there were, you know, at least neighbours, at least friends or something that were around that maybe she hadn't recognised. Had she reached out and nobody had heard her call? I'm unsure, but I think if anything, this has taught me that the whole point of everything is a lot more simple than we make it out to be. In fact, me saying one night, I wish I had what artists have online, you know, this amazing recognition, this amazing talent, this ability to make loads of money doing what they love. That doesn't always equate to happiness. You can have all the recognition in the world, you could have tons of it, but if it doesn't match up to your maybe standards, or if it doesn't do what you need it to do to feel like your art's doing enough, then it's not ever going to be enough. And I think in me feeling that I wish I had what the grass is doing over there on the other side of where I'm tending to, there are things that I'm working on and I'm trying to build up and bring forward and help each other with. And here I am looking over at, you know, what other people are building and creating and thinking that they feel better and different than I do because it looks nicer on the surface of things and it seems happier, and it seems it's always about what it seems, but it is so much more simpler than that. It's not about to create a business, to produce these crazy elaborate things that took years, and to eventually sell it and be a success and make it into articles and to be interviewed. And it's just as simple as checking in on the actual individual who's putting all that effort and all those years into something to show who their identity is and to show what they're worth. Whether she determined that by numbers, by orders, by money she was making, I don't know. If you're not happy in yourself and you don't have self-worth when you've got nothing, you know, like when you're just looking at your bare, naked, stripped back self, then you're not gonna find that from someone else, from your audience, from your orders, from the success your shop on Etsy has, the thumbs up from your parents, or the pat on the back from your partner. You need to find that within, and I think we need to help each other do that. You know, I couldn't have written a check, given it to Poppy and said, I'm giving you this money because I think your work is amazing. She's not going to see that check and then suddenly believe that she is amazing, because she needs to feel it within firsthand. But I feel like a lot of creatives struggle with that. I feel like a lot of artists feel very, very deeply. It helps to have one-to-one proper connections with people, to help find that in yourself. Solid like friendships and a solid family and support system over a collective of recognition. But what I resonated with the most for her is how she connected tarot to an aspect that I felt tarot was lacking. And isn't that the point? Isn't the point to bring something into the world, to leave a legacy behind that you felt the world was lacking before you got there? And isn't the point seeing in other people what you believe the world needs? The Rider-Waite-Smith deck that everybody uses, I use, it's one of the most popular decks that there is. I think because of its history, because it's been around for so long, I think it is a little out of touch these days. I think it is dated and it is hard to resonate with and to understand how a card's definition can relate to your 2022 day. You know, we're living in 2022 here, yet looking at a card that was created in the 1920s. What Poppy did was create something which helps you understand how each card in tarot can relate to a normal life, particularly in London, particularly in England, in the UK, because that's where she was from. I connect easier to people who feel more familiar. That's why I have such an obsession and appreciation for Pamela Colman Smith, and I still think about her so much. She was the illustrator of the famous Rider-Waite deck that I just said. I have a lot of appreciation for her, for what she did and what she brought to the deck. Poppy was kind of like a modern day Pamela Colman Smith in a sense. I think that's what she brought. There's the Modern Witch tarot deck that is very, very popular these days. That deck seemed to do really, really well. The modern, I've got that deck. I did a review of that one too. It was just a kind of copy of the original Rider-Waite deck anyway. This is adding completely new, refreshing elements that make it modern to another level. And in that kind of slogan, finding magic in the midst of life, reminds me a lot of mindful living and romanticizing daily events and happenings, which is something I stand for and I talk about a lot on this channel. Rediscover the magic in tiny little things, such as me pouring this into the glass. It looked beautiful, it sounded lovely. I included that into this video because it's a magical, mindful daily moment. I have this horrible feeling that Poppy will be recognized later on in life. I think, personally, I believe people are sleeping on this deck, as they did with Pamela Colman Smith's art. She didn't get any she didn't see any of that recognition in her living years. I made a whole video on this. She was a pretty famous artist. Don't get me wrong, she had recognition in terms of like being in the newspapers a lot and being in events and being like a celebrity guest in different things. But in terms of the work she did for the tarot deck, we've seen how popular that deck has done. It has done tremendously well, and I don't think anyone I don't think she even had a family to inherit that money that Rider-Waite would have inherited from the success of that tarot deck. And I just worry for people who don't see their worth during their living years, even though it's sad to think about the fact that they didn't get to see the imprint that they made on the world. It's nice to know that their legacy continues, and if they were around, had they seen the impact that they made, they would have been really proud. I think artists ultimately just want to leave something beautiful into the world, and that was Poppy's last wish. I'd like to do a little tarot pull, channel some messages into this video via the cards, via Poppy, with all respect. Let this be a reminder to check in on people wherever you can. And I don't mean just a little cheesy quote or a message of "I'm here if you want," but an actual act of service. Step up when you feel like it's needed for somebody else. Knock on someone's door, physically impact someone's life, to make life, which is so difficult, less of a burden. Even though the intentions might be good in just letting someone know that they're there if you want them, the reality is, when it's dark, it might take a little bit more than that. It might take physically showing up in order for them to realize that you're actually there, or doing things without even asking, because when things are tough enough, you don't want to ask. If you can't help yourself, it's hard to even realize that you need help or where you need help when you're in the thick of it. A lot of the wording that Poppy used in her video, to me, says that though everyone has the right to do what they want, there's an element of danger that she had been toying with for a long time. You know, though she was a spiritual person and believed that there is a better place on the other side of this life and that heaven can bring you those that you miss back, you know, she believed that those things can't wait. She needs them immediately. But like, having someone online say like, oh, you can talk if you want to, isn't always enough. Sometimes you need to physically bombard someone, ring them, call them, pester them if you need to a certain degree. Could it have taken something as simple as like an event that she was invited to, building a friendship with somebody who would have her back when she needs it? Could it have just taken one single confident soul individual to step in and say, oh, you need help with this thing? I can do that. There's this quote I came across the other day, and it was, in a room of people where you are the most powerful, listen up. In a room of people where you are the least powerful, speak up. It's realizing with every room you enter, how you can do your bit. So when you realize you've got power, that you hold some sort of power or some kind of privilege, when you're listening to those around you who need something, who might not straight up tell you that they need something, but you recognize that something that you can bring to the table can benefit and help them in their life and their situation, because you are the powerful person in that room in that situation. And in the same way that you need to listen up as a powerful person to realize what it is that you can bring into people's lives, you might be in a room where you don't have a whole lot of control. You can't blend yourself into the background and pretend you're one of the powerful that do, pretend you're one of the privileged. You need to speak up as a minority, explain where you lack, be vulnerable enough to admit where you lack or what you need, because those are often the ones that shy away and let the rest do the talking or don't want to be recognized. The ones who have everything, the ones who have that power, they need to be talking a whole lot less. People in politics, leaders, they talk too much. They need to be listening more to those who need the platform, who need the space. I will generally just ask for messages. Queen of Coins, she nurtures the world that she's in a very kind of practical way. So it's stepping up to those around that need it. And just because it's the Queen of Coins, it doesn't mean she has no emotion at all, and she's not a good mum because she's just focused on the financial side of things. She's a good mum because she focuses on the financial things. She considers the fact that she needs to be able to provide as a woman, as a caring woman who has a family to run and upbringing to provide for. So as a woman, she can bring forward that emotional side of herself still, but in a practical form. Look inside yourself to realize what it is that you have that others don't, what you can bring that others can't, where your own personal strengths lie in order to bring forward into the world to make it a better place. And that's going to look very different for everybody. I think bringing this video into full circle, going back to where this began, I was saying how it must feel so amazing to have these talents, and I was looking outward and saying, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I was this crazy, like, talented artist who had all this recognition, but ignoring what I do have, my own talents, what I do bring, what I can bring. I received a comment on my video earlier that I made about Buddhist culture. Someone saying that I am a natural documentary editor. That's my calling, that's my talent. I need to go inward and honor that more than perhaps I am. And that goes for everybody watching this video. This is a collective reading. 6 of Coins, charity card. It's giving when you can. In finding yourself and working on family, your business, your ideas, nurturing your house, your home, your health, and getting that good base, getting that good like foundational structure helps do what is the point of everything in life. It helps you have enough money to give to charity. It helps you have enough health to be able to help out your neighbor. It allows you to have a strong enough like mental health to be able to be a good moral support for your best friend. The 6 of Coins is just giving in any way, shape and form in areas that you have enough of. So working on yourself first. The Hermit card comes first. You come first and the rest will easily follow. Don't get it backwards. And the Hanged Man. I think there's something quite lovely about her Hanged Man. It's a little boy hanging upside down on a bus stop in a bus station, and all those adults around him are complaining about the bus being late, work commitments. It's stressful being an adult. They feel that very intensely, whereas that boy, he's just having a great old time hanging upside down, swinging about, and it's not concerning him at all, because stressing about the fact the bus is late isn't going to make it arrive any quicker. You may as well make the most of the time he has and just make something fun out of it, because you're going to be standing there regardless anyway. That's the sort of attitude the Hanged Man has, finding comfort in the uncomfortable. So though it's not ideal, what can you do? It's putting your hands up and saying, I sacrifice to the fact this is the way it is. It's why people meditate, so they can get to that place. And doing what you can to the degree that you can, realizing that not everything is going to go exactly in the way we anticipate in life, but it's about finding the magic in everyday life, which is what that little kid in the Hanged Man card is doing. Something that Poppy probably felt very strong about was relying on the idea of finding comfort in the uncomfortable. That's probably a life struggle that she went through. That's something that she had to remind herself often. And I think in being an act of service for others, in providing where we can help you become part of something bigger than ourselves, and therefore less stressed out and frustrated by the idea of our world and the universe and God, whatever you believe in, bringing things into our lives and everyday matters that are out of our control and we can't do anything about. I think you become a lot less bummed out by that when you are still helping others around you, still making a difference to other people's lives, still touching other people's lives, and realizing that it's not all about you anyway. It's about you having just enough to be able to help your neighbor, help your friend, help your lover. The rest doesn't matter so much. So Queen of Coins is about having a healthy body, providing for yourself, nurturing for yourself. There are a lot of veggies in this card. Your body's a temple and all of that. that points to that aspect, and the hermit is more about going up into the brain, up into the mind, and looking after that as much as you do eating your veggies to look after your body. Checking in on your mental health. Is that clear? Is that strong enough to be able to provide and be of a service for other people and to give? I think before finishing, a good kind of ending to this video, it's got very, very dark, so I'm gonna have to put an end to this soon, is referring to card number 13, which is death. In Poppy's book, she's done a fabulous, you have to watch my review on this deck, but she's done a big write-up on each card about how you can relate to each card on a very day-to-day level. And she's also, what I freaking love and always say people should do, she's done like a paragraph of what the person in the card is saying, a quote from them, which is a lovely way to understand tarot on a deeper level. I always say, like, think about what the person in the card might be saying. She does that in the death card. The death card in her deck has an old lady, and she's kind of looking over at this young child. So they're on different ends of the scale in terms of life. And she says, child, I will miss your precious face. Yet I'll never be far away. I promise. It's Granny's time to leave her body, but she will never ever leave you. You can come and sit here year upon year, and although you may not see me, I'll still be beside you, dear. You'll feel my presence like snowflakes falling gently onto your skin, and there's nothing scary about a snowflake, is there, sweetling? You feel it and know it exists, even though you can't hold on to it. It kisses you lightly, then melts away until its season comes again. When the snowdrop flowers go back into the soil in late spring, we think they've gone away forever, but just when we've given up hope and seeing their tiny pale faces again, pop! There they are each winter, as pristine and dainty as before. And see how the leaves have no leaves now? Those worn-out dry leaves fell and crumbled away to feed the land, making the trees strong enough to put on their fresh green mantles another day. There are always returns, you see. Nothing in nature truly dies, and we human beings are a part of nature, aren't we? Do you see that Granny's skin is like a dry leaf now, all crumbled and creased? Granny will take off her old suit of a body, like the tree shrugs off its worn-out leaves. No, don't be sad. It will be just like taking off an old coat, see? That worn-out part of Granny will be wintering back in the earth, but the real Granny, the one you see when you look in my eyes, that one will be light and free again, able to dance and water like sparkles of sunlight. Her love will get bigger and stronger, just as you'll grow taller, and it will fill your life. And you'll have a lovely life, my sweetest one. You will have your guardian Granny spirit with you until we meet again. And we will, my precious petal, we will. I always refer to leaving Earth as taking off a coat, a jacket that you don't need anymore, in the same way as we leave anything in life, a career, a friend, and it's okay to let that go. You take off a coat and leave it behind. A body that was just holding your spirit, holding your personality, holding your light around. She doesn't need it anymore. This is just a physical belonging that doesn't make sense in heaven. You don't need that as a spirit. It's just how you navigated the earth plane. I think that's a nice way to put this video to an end. I just sending loads of love to Poppy because she brought a lot of love and light into this world. I just wish she saw that and realised there was more to give. You know, without needing other people to maybe remind her of that, and realising that she was strong enough to continue. Loads of love, Poppy.